Switch leaders, what is going on? I hope you guys are having an amazing Thursday and you're resting a little bit last night, which is simply incredible. Thank you so much for showing up, being intentional with just connecting with students. We're just seeing God move in a special way, and that has a lot to do with how intentional you're being as small group leaders, as switch leaders. So thank you so much for just being awesome. I'm going to kind of go over some good and some bad from last night. This is just a feedback video that I'm going to send every Thursday so that we're all thinking through how can I continue to get better in the areas that need the improvement and what areas are working and how can we continue to just refine those and grow in those areas. So I'll start with the good. Last night was just simply incredible. There's so much fun. The entire night, you can feel that God's presence was with us. It was our biggest night of the semester already. It was our biggest night. We had 196 students, 26 new students. Again, God is just bringing us people left and right. It's our job to steward it. And so what we can control is the input. We can't control or are we responsible for what God does on the back end, but we control what we can control. And so input being we're inviting students, right? We're inviting them and then they're coming. Now we can also control are we reaching out to them? And so let's continue to reach out to them, reach out to parents so that they feel needed and known. That is a huge thing. So continue doing that. You guys are doing a good job. For those of you who helped clean up the Gaga pit, seriously, thank you so much. That was a mess. It was nasty. It was gross. I think there was like 9 or 10 of you who helped out. I don't know all who was involved, but you know who you are. I know for sure Blake and Cody and Sean, Marilee, Shannon, Dale, couple of Patty, Jordan. I might be missing a couple others, but there's quite a few of you who were helping out with that. Thank you so much for doing that. I know that's not what you signed up for, but that means a lot to me that you got it done effectively and the place was clean. So that means a lot. And then good job leading your students on the communication cards. I continue to see a uptick in that, whether it's a prayer request or them just saying, hey, this is my first time. I literally am trying to track that data, especially those who commit their life to Christ. And so that's the information I really want is first time and those who are committing their life to Christ. But a prayer request goes above and beyond. That's really good. That's helpful because then we can give that to other people to pray for them with. I'm going to try to launch a prayer team that serves in Switch, but they're not physically there on Wednesday night, which will be super helpful. My phone is going nuts right now. So seriously, good job with all those different things. So now to the other part, incident reports. An incident report is anything that, let's say a student rolls their ankle, a student, they get sick, they throw up, a student is being disrespectful, a student hits someone, there's a fight that breaks out, or a student gives you personal information like they're being physically abused or they know someone who's harming themselves. All that information is extremely important. And so if you hear anything, you see anything, we have to report it. We're mandatory reporters, so please let your coach know they know how to do those reports. But also let me know as well, and I will make sure that it gets done. That's a big thing. We had 5 incident reports last night, which for us is out of the norm, but in the youth ministry world, it's not bad. However, let's just make sure we're staying on top of it if there is anything so we can submit it to our legal team. That's good. So right after worship, I noticed this the last couple of weeks. We have a tendency of just kind of hanging out and just talking. I know students are high-fiving each other. We need to get seated in the same spot right away. The 45 seconds, that's the countdown, is there for a reason. Let's get seated because I'm going into offering, and I hate talking over students. Offering is such an important time where we need them to be paying attention. I'm not going to talk over them. So whether we need to do a better job on the front end and connecting our students quicker to their small groups. I think that's a possible solution where we just need more greeters, more people hanging out at check-in, and even more students hanging out at check-in, getting other students checked into a small group. That'll be super helpful. So let's continue doing that. But also in the back end, you as a small group leader, find a place in the auditorium. No, last night we didn't have chairs, but find a place in the auditorium, stick to that same place, and you go there every single week so your students know where to find you. I think that'll help out quite a bit. But even so, let's just lead them. And so if I say, hey guys, I'm going to get seated because I got to do offering. I want to do offering, but I don't want to talk over people. Another thing, so when we do the food nights, like we are irrational, generous. That's one of our values as a church. And there's something to be said about we have just amazing people who give time, resources, all those different things. And we're going to freely give chips away. We're going to freely give food. But what we don't want to do is allow students to indulge in the sense that they are like harming themselves in a sense. So I had a couple different students had more than 50 nuggets last night. That's just not healthy. That's not healthy for them. And so if they need food, that's a different conversation. If they're hungry and there's no food at home, that's a different conversation. But from these particular students, they were just being silly middle school kids. So if you see that, nip it in the bud because there's actual students there who don't have food. And that's why it's there. And so if a student's like putting 5 bags of chips in their backpack and you're like, hey, you doing okay? That literally might be the meal that they have for the week. And so we're more than okay with that. However, when we have students eat 50 nuggets and kind of boast about it, I'm not cool with that. So please, please, please be attentive when you see that. Ask questions. Hey, this is your 4th set of nuggets. What's going on, dude? Do you have food at home? Oh, yeah? Okay, so why don't you hold on and let other people eat? It's just a respectful thing to do. And then before we split groups, make sure we're talking to our coaches. I know there's a couple groups that are getting pretty big, which is great because their friends are inviting them. But before we just split, let's make sure that we're all on the same page, keeping your coach in a loop. And matter of fact, allowing them, you and them partnering together to make that decision, but ultimately it's the coach's decision. And then I would like to know what's going on, so I trust the coaches that are going to let me know. But before you just say, hey, we're going to take these 8 girls or 8 guys and we're going to go over here, talk to the coach because that's why they're there. Because we want to make sure we're making wise decisions and we're not splitting friends and all those different things, okay? So all that's a lot of information. I'm going to send out another parent email template. And so for those of you who did that, thank you. For those of you who didn't, let's make sure we do it. And then I'm going to send out another one for going into next week that's going to kind of cover a little bit about Switch Out, a little bit about Switch Fest, but you specifically need to have that plan for Switch Out. Outside of that, you guys are freaking rock stars. We had an awesome night last night. God is moving, and I'm so thankful to serve God and love people with all of you. Always remember, whoever finds God finds life.